The sun had barely risen over the terracotta rooftops of Lencois, a quiet colonial town nestled in the heart of Bahia, Brazil. João Pedro, 22 and sharp-eyed, wandered through the cobbled streets that once felt like home. The scent of damp earth and bougainvillea followed him. But today, everything smelled different, unfamiliar. Something was shifting, and he could feel it in his chest. He had returned after nearly 3 years in Salvador, where he studied music away from the tangle of village secrets. The house, once warm with conversation and his mother's laughter, now creaked under the weight of silence. His father, ever a reserved figure, greeted him only with a nod and a grumble before disappearing into the backyard workshop. As João entered his childhood room, everything seemed untouched: the guitar by the window, faded football posters, and old notebooks. But something was out of place. A thin, yellowed envelope sat tucked behind a stack of comic books. His name was written across it. The handwriting was his mother's. He hesitated. She had died 2 years ago, a car crash during a visit to Feira de Santana. The grief had been sharp, but life in Salvador had dulled it into something numb. But this letter? This brought it all back. He opened it slowly, heart thudding.
João.
If you're reading this, you've come home. And that means you're ready. I never wanted you to know like this. But the truth is hidden in the blue box beneath the floorboards. I only hope you'll forgive me one day. He read the letter 3 times, then knelt to the corner, where the floor creaked beneath his old guitar stand. It was there, a small, locked box, dusty and cold. His fingers trembled as he lifted it out. The lock was rusted shut, and no key in the house seemed to match. He considered smashing it open, but something stopped him. Instead, he hid it in his backpack and left the house without a word. He needed answers. And he knew exactly where to start. At the edge of Lencois, where the jungle met the town, lived Tia Tsida, his mother's oldest friend and, some whispered, the keeper of truths no one wanted told. The dirt path to Tia Tsida's house was overgrown and cracked, winding between patches of jungle where banana trees leaned low and birds screamed warnings in the humid air. João hadn't seen her since his mother's funeral, a blur of black dresses, incense smoke, and eyes that never quite met his. She lived alone in a crumbling yellow cottage with wooden shutters that had never known paint. A rooster crowed as he approached, but the gate was already open. Tia Tsida stood barefoot by the doorway, as if she had been waiting. "You found the box," she said. João stopped dead. He hadn't mentioned the box to anyone. The letter was still in his pocket. "You knew about it?" Her face, lined like folded parchment, twisted into something between a smile and sorrow. "Of course. Your mother told me everything the day she hid it. I told her it would come back to haunt us." "I don't understand," João said. "What's in it? Why leave it for me?" Tia Tsida turned and walked inside.
"Come.
I'll make chata kamamala. Then we talk." Inside, the house smelled of eucalyptus, honey, and thyme. Old photos hung on the walls. João recognized his mother, younger and smiling, standing with people he didn't know. One man in the center of a photograph caught his eye, tall, dark-haired, with the same sharp cheekbones João saw every morning in the mirror. "That's not my father," he said slowly. "No," Tia Tsida answered, placing a steaming mug in front of him. "That's your real father. And that box, it's his legacy." João stared, heart in his throat. "You're telling me I've lived a lie?" "Not a lie," she said gently. "A protection." The walls of his world shifted. He suddenly saw his father's coldness, not as distance, but as burden. A man forced to raise a child that was never his. A family stitched together by silence. João stood. "I need to open the box." Tia Tsida nodded, walking to the corner of the room. She reached behind a dusty cabinet and pulled out a tiny iron key. "Your mother asked me to keep it safe. Until you came asking." João took the key, its teeth rusted but intact. The weight of it pressed into his palm like fate. Outside, the sun dipped lower. Shadows grew longer. The past was no longer buried. It was awake. The sound of the lock clicking open echoed through Joao's childhood bedroom like a breath held too long. Inside the box was no treasure, but something heavier. Old letters, creased photographs, and a hand-drawn map on parchment. It smelt faintly of clove and mildew. At the top lay a letter signed by someone named Domingos Castro, a name Joao had never heard. The words were poetic, almost mournful. Domingos spoke of love lost, of a son taken away, and a parcel of land hidden in the Chapada Diamantina Mountains, where roots cannot grow, for the soil remembers blood. Joao stared at the photo tucked inside. A younger version of his mother stood beside Domingos, their fingers barely touching. Behind them, a wooden house rested beneath a towering fig tree. It was him. Domingos was his real father. The map was crude but clear. A red X sat deep within the folds of the mountains, near a village Joao had only heard whispered about, Remanso Velho, an abandoned settlement said to be haunted by silence. He folded the letter slowly, his throat tight. Everything made less sense now, and that was the worst part. By nightfall, Joao had packed a small rucksack. Water. A torch. His mother's photograph. The map. He didn't tell his father. He couldn't. This journey wasn't about the man who raised him. It was about the man who disappeared, and the secrets buried beneath his name. The road to Remanso Velho had long since crumbled. Joao's bus dropped him 2 hours from where the track faded into thick jungle. Locals warned him not to go. "There's nothing up there but ghosts," one man said, lighting a cigarette with shaking hands. Joao walked anyway. For hours, the jungle seemed to close around him. The heat clung to his skin. Insects whined in his ears. But the map was clear, and he trusted his feet more than his thoughts. By late afternoon, he reached the first sign, a rusted signpost swallowed by vines. Remanso Velho, 2 kilometers. He continued, past broken fences and dried-out wells, until the forest opened into what was once a square. Roofless buildings stood like gravestones. A chapel collapsed. A schoolhouse hollow. Time had erased the edges of everything. But Joao felt something else. A tension. As if the land itself remembered pain. At the edge of the village stood a wooden house, nearly identical to the one in the photograph. The fig tree was dead now, gray and skeletal. Inside, the air was still. Dust coated everything. On a table, he found a cracked photo frame. His mother's face, faded, stared back at him. This was their home. This was where it began. As he stepped further in, the floorboards groaned beneath his weight. Then a sound. Footsteps above. He wasn't alone. Joao froze. The footsteps above him were slow, deliberate. This wasn't the creak of wind or wood. Someone or something was up there. He reached for the nearest object he could use as defense, an iron fire poker by the hearth, and climbed the narrow staircase. Each step moaned under his weight. At the top, the door to the loft hung slightly open. A line of light escaped the crack. Joao pushed gently. Inside sat a man. Late 50s, hair graying at the temples, shirt stained with earth. He didn't look startled, just tired. "You look like her," he said. Joao tightened his grip on the poker. "Who are you?" "I could ask you the same," the man replied. "But I already know." "Domingos." The man nodded once. "I thought you were dead," Joao whispered. Domingos looked away, toward a dusty window. "I was. In every way that counts." Joao dropped the poker. His hands were shaking. "Why did you leave?" A silence stretched. "I didn't," Domingos said. "I was made to." Domingos sat in silence for a long moment, as if searching for words in the dust around them. Outside, the fig tree creaked in the wind like an old memory. "Your mother came to me when she was pregnant," he said. "She was scared. Your grandfather hated me. Said I was no good. And maybe I wasn't. But I loved her." Joao's heart beat hard in his chest. "She was given a choice," Domingos continued. "To stay here with me, hidden from the world, or go back to her family, safe, with the promise they'd care for you. No shame. No questions." "She left?" Joao asked, voice barely a whisper. She left crying, Domingos said. But she believed it was the only way to protect you. Her father threatened her. Said if she stayed, he'd ruin everything. Her reputation, her future. And she believed him. João turned away, fighting the storm inside him. She told me she'd write. She never did. I waited here for years. And you never tried to find me? Domingos looked up, his eyes hollow. She asked me not to. Said the only way to keep you safe was to let you grow without me. João stared at the floor. It wasn't hatred he felt. It was something worse. Understanding. The next morning, João awoke in the same house his parents once shared. The silence was deeper now, not empty, but weighted. Domingos handed him a cup of black coffee and a folded sheet. It was a letter, written by his grandfather, Miguel. I found it after your mother died, Domingos said. It explains everything. The letter was brief, clinical. Miguel had paid Domingos to disappear. Offered land in the north. Enough to start over. Take the money, leave the name, it read. She'll have a proper life without disgrace. João's fists clenched. Did you take it? No, Domingos replied. But I left anyway. What choice did I have? Anger burned in João's chest, not just for the lies, but for the ease with which they had been bought. His family had rewritten his origin story like a shameful footnote. And worse, the man he had called father all his life had known. That evening, João called him. A brief pause, then a gruff voice. Hello? You knew, João said. Silence. I didn't ask for this, his father replied. But I raised you. I fed you. I taught you to swim. Does that count for nothing? João's throat tightened. It counts for everything, he said quietly. And also not enough. That night, Remanso Velho was blanketed in an eerie stillness. João couldn't sleep. The air was thick, almost suffocating. The fig tree outside loomed in the moonlight, skeletal and strange. He walked out into the clearing, memories he never lived flickering through his mind. A young couple kissing beneath the branches, laughter echoing where now only wind whispered. Then smoke. He turned. The house. Flames licked through the timber. The old roof, dry as straw, lit up like paper. Domingos shouted from inside. João ran in. Heat slammed into him, smoke curling down his throat. Domingos had fallen near the stairs. João pulled him up, half carrying, half dragging him outside as the roof collapsed. They fell to the ground, coughing, eyes stinging. Who did this? João wheezed. Domingos didn't answer. But João already knew. This wasn't just an accident. Someone didn't want the past uncovered. João returned to Lençóis with Domingos in tow, burned but alive. The local clinic patched him up, but word had already spread. People spoke in hushed tones, glancing over their shoulders. At home, João confronted his family. His uncle denied everything. His aunt wept. But his father said nothing. Just stared. You tried to erase him, João said. But you couldn't erase the truth. I protected you, his father said at last. Even when it cost me your love. João didn't answer. He had no words for the ache in his chest. Gratitude and betrayal tangled together. Later, João found another envelope, hidden beneath his mother's old clothes. It was addressed to Domingos. Unsent. Inside, she had written, I never stopped loving you. But I had to choose him, for João. I hope one day he finds you. I hope he forgives me. João held the letter against his chest, eyes closed. The choice had never been simple. Weeks passed. Domingos stayed in Lençóis, living quietly at the edge of town. João visited often, though the visits were filled more with silence than words. One evening, they sat outside watching the sky fade into indigo. She never wanted you to hate them, Domingos said. I don't, João replied. But I'll never see them the same. He played his guitar, the same one he'd carried since Salvador. The notes drifted into the evening air like smoke, unfinished and unresolved. You've her soul, Domingos said softly. And his fire. João nodded. I think I need both. As the stars blinked awake above Bahia, João felt the weight of history settle. Not gone, not forgiven, but finally no longer hidden.